to the Double Blonde Brokers podcast. With this podcast, our hope is that clients and friends alike can learn something. With each episode, we make light of the complexity of health insurance by offering tips, tricks, vocab lessons, and even sharing stories of our experiences as brokers. New episodes launch every Wednesday.
Well, welcome to the second episode of the Double Blonde Brokers podcast. I'm Suzanne O'Connor, and this is Emily Keaton. And believe it or not, this is the second time we're doing this.
This is take two, everyone. We forgot to hit record the first time. Learning experience, that's for sure.
Oh my goodness. This is why we call it the Double Blonde.
Yes. We swear we know Medicare. We do.
We do. It's just this, the technological aspect of this is a little scary for me. All right. So we're going to start off today a little bit, and we're going to talk to you about Medicare. And what is Medicare? Last time on our first episode, we really talked basically about how you sign up for Medicare, a little bit of overall view of it. Now we're going to tell you what is original Medicare, because this is what people think that they have worked. This is what they work their lives for to put into Medicare. And a lot of people have the thought that, okay, I just can't wait till I get to 65. I'll be on Medicare. Won't cost me anything. I'll have free insurance. And this is what a lot of people think, right? But in actuality, it's not quite like that. So what it breaks down to is two parts. You have a part A and a part B, which we were telling you about last time, that you need to sign up for both of those parts. So we're going to kind of dive into that. What is part A and what is part B? So Emily, why don't you take us today and tell us, first of all, when did Medicare first start?
Yeah, so the discussions about Medicare started back in 1945, kind of saying there's a need for it, we need to work on this, but they didn't actually put it into effect until 1965. So it took them a whole 20 years, which sounds pretty typical of our government.
It does.
And then that was actually only parts A and B, which we're going to discuss today. But then just kind of a little fun fact that part D, the drug part, did not come into play until 2006. So really not that long ago.
No. And that's probably because new. Big pharma, drugs got expensive, had to figure out a way to pay. Because I think original Medicare did pay for some drugs. And then they realized that they were going to have to probably control costs, have a separate drug plan that you paid for as well. Yeah. So, all right. So what is part A? Okay. So we talked about how you got to work the 10 years and 40 quarters. Just make sure everybody understands that. Doesn't matter. You don't have to work it all at the same time. You can split it up. Right? Doesn't matter. As long as you get that amount. So what is part A? Tell me all about part A and what it covers and how much it costs you.
So we kind of mentioned last time that part A is everything inpatient related. So you think about hospital stays, also includes skilled nursing stuff in there because that's also in a inpatient facility. So covers all of those things, but it's not like it just covers it 100% and everything's free when you use it. No. So there is a deductible on Part A, and for this year in 2024, they change a little bit each year. It is $1,632. And so that's kind of your upfront costs when you get admitted into the hospital. Your deductible applies to days 1 through 60 in the hospital. And that 1 through 60 days, those can reset each time you're admitted to the hospital. So you could have that quite a few times throughout the year. We hope not, but
yeah,
could happen. Could happen. And then after that deductible, so if you are there longer than 60 days, days 61 through 90 has an additional charge that is $408 per day that you are there. So that adds up pretty quick. And then even beyond that, if you're there longer than 90 days, then it is a $816 charge per day. So, as wonderful as this part A is that we've put together, there are a lot of, financial holes in there that we need to try to figure out how we're going to bridge that gap.
Right. And how much does one have to pay as a premium for part A just to have part A?
So typically Part A is premium free. There is no charge for it as long as you've worked those 40 quarters or 10 years.
Right. Okay. So that's where our conception of free comes in from
Yeah,
part A.
definitely.
Just a little bit tiny part of it. And then we have part B. So part B is does have a premium. And for most people, it's about 174.70, or it is for this year. That those premiums do change a little bit each year. And then, but for some higher income earners, it could be more. And they could end up adding on what we call an IRMA, which is an income related monthly adjustment. But I like to call it the adjustment for being successful in life, almost like a penalty, right?
Yeah.
So, but what does it cover? So, Part B really covers everything that's outside of the hospital. Anytime you go to your doctor, anytime you have labs or diagnostics or whatever, anything outside of those hospital walls, that's what Part B is covering. Whether it could be in an outpatient facility, whatever, that's what Part B is. Now, they have a deductible also, but it's a calendar year deductible, which is what most people are used to with their insurance now. It resets every January. So even if you start at the middle of the year, your deductible is everybody's deductible resets on January. And it's for this year, it's 240. Then once you reach that deductible, it's 80/20 coverage. They cover 80, you cover 20. Now we can't forget to say though, or mention that the negotiated rates for Medicare are gigantic. I mean,
Oh yeah.
they're huge. I mean, you could have a $15,000 thing that gets negotiated down to $1,000. It's like it's tremendous. So there is a value for sure in those negotiated rates and the part you're going to pay. But after you meet that deductible, then that's where your 80/20 comes in. So I think there's a little fun fact though about that Part B premium, which we said is like 174.70, that most people don't know. And we like to try to give you just like a little heads up about this because people are always trying to plan how much is my insurance going to cost, right? That's everybody's like, oh, I'm going to retire. What's this? I'm leaving my job. I don't know. What's this going to cost me? So a little fun fact about that is fill that in, Emily.
Yeah, so when you first start Medicare, if you're not taking your Social Security yet, they're going to want 3 months of your premium up front.
Yeah.
Write them a check, send it to them in the mail. So that can be kind of sticker shock, whether it's the 174.70 or, a much higher premium. It's a lot to pay that, 3 months right away up front. And most people don't even truly understand how their coverage works yet, and they just send a check off,
Yeah. Here we go. Now you can get that on a monthly basis afterwards. You can set that up so it's not
Yeah.
that not that much. And they do that so that they can kind of get things going. Now, one thing is if you are on Social Security, that Part B premium will just come out of your Social Security check and you don't
Yeah.
have to pay that 3 months up front. But many people are not on that as of yet. And so they're not, they may be retired, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're taking their Social Security. So they do have to come up with that payment. So, so we talk about like why. So this is kind of what A and B covers. And one of the reasons why it's important to have something that goes with it is because of this one other fact, which is with Medicare, there is no max out of pocket. A lot of people are used to a max out of pocket with their traditional insurance. Now, it couldn't be high. You think 9,000, 10,000 is high, but no limit? That's really high, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so this is what we're really trying to help protect people from. Not only those super high co-payments for hospital, but this extra 20% that's also due. So give us some examples of that. Well, what that might look like for
Yeah.
20% with that.
So we kind of say two big things are the first one, of course, is cancer, and then the other is getting hit by a truck. So you never want to get hit by a truck,
No.
but you could be in the hospital for a long time trying to recover from that. And so that can add up very, very quickly on the Part A side with all those, co-pays per day. And then the cancer treatments, those are typically all done in outpatient facilities, but you're paying 20% of, chemotherapy drugs that are ridiculously expensive, or radiation treatments that typically requires at least 40 treatments to take care of that. So it adds up super quickly and could be something that bankrupts you if you don't have other ways to supplement your original Medicare.
Right. So that's why it's so important to make sure that you do choose the right plan. So we're going to still continue down the path to try to help explain some of that in short little snippets of podcasts. So this is going to kind of conclude our one for today. Next time, we're going to talk a little bit more about Part D, a little bit what those deductibles and how that works, and what, and even more so the value of having a broker, to help you with those Part D costs.
Thanks so much for joining us today. We are so happy to have you here. If you liked what you heard or learned something new, then go ahead and give us a like and a follow. Also, you can write us a review or share us with a friend, and follow us on all social media platforms. We are at Double Blonde Brokers on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. You can also send us an email at doubleblondebrokers@gmail.com. if you have any suggestions of future episodes, questions, or would like to work with us as your brokers. Thanks so much, and we will see you next time.